Hello and welcome to the Essex Boys Murder Case Part 29. Before watching this video, I recommend watching Part 4 onwards on YouTube first, as these videos are all about the key individuals and the murder victims' movements on the day of the 6th of December 1995. As always, a quick mention to the Facebook page called The Real Essex Boys Murder Club. If you're interested, please feel free to join, as some great people on there with a lot of knowledge on this subject. So this is a follow-on from my last video about Darren Nicholls and if he had prior knowledge of the White House Farm track. Now before we start, I'll just give you a quick recap to where we got up to with these Day of the Murder videos. Darren Nicholls has had the phone call from Jack Wooms to come and pick them up. He's turned up at the entrance of the track and Jack Wooms has climbed into the back of the Passat. Moments later, Mick Steele gets into the front passenger seat, and the time we got up to was approximately 7:05 PM. Now, I last finished on Dave Trunley and DC Bird and their associates, who often went on clay pigeon shoots followed by heavy drinking sessions, and they would get Darren Nicholls to do their chauffeuring to and from these shooting meets. Now what we do know is Dave Trunley had access to shotguns, which was the preferred weapon for the executions of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. So what we have here is a map, and down here to the left is Braintree, where Darren Nicholls lived. And the red marker up here is Colchester, where DC Bird lived. And this is the route he would make to pick up DC Bird, probably Dave Trunley and any of their shooting party friends. And this is the route he would take to pick them up. Unfortunately, do you know what? Unfortunately, I have no idea where Dave Trunley lived back then. But I tell you what, let's just presume he lived in the Colchester area. I mean, from the research, I do know the Detective Sergeant Phil Stimson, he lived in the Colchester area as well. So it's a fair assumption Dave Trunley lived in or around the Colchester area at the time. So the red mark at the top is Colchester, and this is where Darren Nicholls will be picking up the shooting party, if they did use the big shoot in Wickford, which is down here, close to the Basildon area. And if they did use this shooting range, this is the route they would have taken. They would have gone along the A12 here. And eventually down here they would have joined the A130 and they would have passed White House Farm, which is just here. They would have passed the track to get down to the shooting range in Wickford. I mean, as I showed you in the other video, there's loads of shooting ranges in this part of the Essex area, and this one, the big shoot in Wickford, I mean, this could have been one that they used on occasions. And Darren Nicholls, he would have had to drive past White House Farm. He would have seen the track in order to get down to Wickford and drop them off. And then he would have to drive back up along the A130 on his own, probably. And he would have to go back up to Braintree, which is here. And then when they're finished, he would drive back down this route again to pick them up. So it is possible he knows the A130 and he may know it well. Do you know what? I think Colin Bridge states that him and Darren Nicholls drove along this part of the A130 many a times together. So to me, definitely, I mean, he would know this location. prior to the murders. Also, when Pat Tate was in hospital and Darren Nicholls, when Pat Tate was shot by Steve Nipper Ellis, Darren Nicholls visited Pat Tate in hospital, and he would have travelled from Braintree down here along the A130. He would have passed the White House Farm. He would have passed the track in order to get to Basildon down here. And then he would have travelled along here, which just is about where the Basildon Hospital is. And when he visited Pat Tate and set back off home, he would have travelled back up along the A130. It's the best route for him. And then he would have arrived back up here in Braintree, where he lived. So, I mean, to me, he would have known this area, he would have known that stretch of road, probably more than any of the other two. I mean, he may have even done electrical work in the Basildon area and travelled along this route, and then done his electrical work and then gone back up along the A130. But to me, out of the three, I think he would have had more of a knowledge of this stretch of road. So I'm just going back to the track for a moment, and I want to discuss the farmer, Peter Theobald. Now, he had ducks and pheasants on his land, and he would hire his land out to people who would like to shoot game. In fact, on the morning of the murders, he and a friend, Kenneth Jiggins, headed down the White House Farm track in a vehicle to feed the ducks and pheasants, and they came across the Range Rover, which was stationary in front of the 5-bar gate. They found it strange, a car was just parked up there, so Kenneth Jiggins, he got out and headed towards the Range Rover to ask the occupants to move, only to discover Tony Tucker, Pat Tate and Craig Rolfe were dead. The time was approximately 7:50 AM. Now, the last time Peter Theobald used the track was on the evening of Tuesday, the 5th of December. Now, he says Kenneth Jiggins used the track to feed the ducks and pheasants on the Wednesday morning and evening on the 6th of December. Now, is this what Jack Woombs was doing in the resident area on the 5th of December when his phone pinged in this tiny village? I mean, he was miles away from work and where he lived. I mean, what was he doing there? Was he waiting close to the track entrance for Peter Theobald to do his last feed of the livestock, and then lock the 5-bar gate, and then drive along the track to the entrance, and then turn right and head home towards White House Farm? After Peter Theobald did this, did Jack Woombs go down the track and check to see if the gate was locked? And did he check the time to see what time the actual gate got locked? So what we have here is a statement from a Peter Theobald, the farmer, and it was made on the 29th of December 1995, and it's about how he ran the shooting parties on his land. You can read it yourself, but what I will do is read a part of the statement that's relevant to this video. I have been asked by the police for other persons who use my land for the purposes of shooting game. In the course of supervising both duck and pheasant shoots on my land, I keep a list of persons who shot on given days. The shooting parties are made up of 6 people on most occasions. There are times when the parties may be less. I do not have addresses or phone numbers for all these persons. but I keep the names. There is usually a phone number for one person of the group that I use for contact purposes. I keep a list of these people in a small hardback book which I have produced. Now, reading that, I mean, I've got to be honest, the farmer, Peter Theobald, is quite relaxed about the details of people using firearms on his land. Maybe it wasn't that big back then, but I'd have thought he'd have had all their names and all their addresses, especially the telephone numbers. I mean, to me, I mean, he should have taken a vehicle registration number as well. I mean, they're on his land shooting livestock. I mean, there could be anybody. I mean, he does not keep all the addresses or phone numbers for these people, but does keep their names, and there's usually a phone number for that group in case he needs to contact them. And he keeps this in a small book, and he passed it on to the police after the triple murders. Now, did Dave Trunley, DC Bird, or any of their shooting friends ever go to these shoots at White House Farm instead of going to a clay pigeon shoot? I mean, this is a chance to shoot livestock. It might have appealed to them instead of always going to the clay pigeon shoots. Could Dave Trunley or DC Bird's names be in that book? Did the police check the names of the people in the book to see if anyone knew Dave Trunley or DC Bird? Or even Detective Sergeant Stimpson? I mean, did they check the police? Did the police check the phone numbers that were in the book to see if any of them matched Dave Trunley or DC Bird or any of their associates who could have used this farm for shooting livestock? I mean, surely this line of inquiry would have been quite important to the investigation, and all the names and phone numbers should have been checked and cross-referenced with anyone associated with Tucker, Tate or Rolfe, or anyone linked to this case. Now, there is no witness statements in the court transcripts of anyone saying their name or telephone number was in that book. I mean, did the police neglect this line of inquiry? To me, at the beginning of this murder investigation, this should have been a top priority. You had names and phone numbers of people who used this land to shoot livestock where Tucker, Tate and Rolfe were murdered. Is it possible Dave Trunley, DC Bird or any of their associates did use White House Farm for shooting livestock? Did Darren Nicholls ever pick them up from this track? Did he ever drive down the track to drop them off or pick them up and see the 5-bar gate? Did he suggest this place to Mick Steele and Jack Wooms? I mean, he was the chauffeur to and from these shooting meets. When a place was needed to take out Tucker, Tate and Rolfe, did he suggest this track? I mean, after Darren Nicholls picked up Trunley and Bird and any of their shooting associates from White House Farm, I mean, did he ever drive them to the Wheat Sheaf pub for drinks before driving them back to Colchester? I mean, did he use the petrol station just up the road from the Wheat Sheaf pub before driving them back to Colchester? Both these places he said he used in his second statement. Now, if Dave Trunley and DC Bird, including any of their friends on the shooting parties, did they use this land at White House Farm? And if they did, they would know the layout to it and they would feel comfortable in the surrounding areas to create an ambush and commit 3 murders. They would have known about the gate. An hiding place to park up, say the other track, which if you drive along, that takes you up to the Wheatsheaf pub car park. They could have walked from that track, which is just what, a minute's walk. They could have walked down to the gate here. They could have waited in the bushes on the right hand side here. They could have waited for the ranger to turn up. When the vehicle does turn up and comes to a halt, Mick Steele opens the back passenger door and he plays his part in going towards the gate to get out of the way. The others sneak up, and the one who has been trained in firearms and will be able to take out 3 men in the Range Rover with precision, and he carries out the murders while the others get into position, protecting the doors just in case anything goes wrong and Tuckett and Rolf try and escape. And I know this is just a scenario of what could have happened that night, but as I've been doing the research for these Day of the Murder videos, I get the feeling someone else was there that night to carry out these murders, and Mick Steele, Jack Wilms and Darren Nicholls played their part in getting the Essex boys to this location. A pre-chosen location. I mean, to me, a dummy run had to have been done and times had to have been checked. I mean, there was a possibility that the Range Rover could have passed the Passat along the journey from the Halfway House pub to the farm track. So a delaying tactic was needed, and Mick Steele got the Range Rover and got Craig Rolfe to drive to the Hungry Horse Hippo. And this is delaying tactic, so it gives the others time to get into position down the track and wait for the Range Rover to turn up. I mean, there could have been a possibility that that Range Rover could have passed the Passat, and that would have been disastrous. So to me, that delaying tactic by Mick Steele not getting in the Range Rover at the Halfway House pub, I mean, that's clever. I mean, he's driving them away to Rayleigh so the others can get into position. And as I've just said, in this scenario, this is how it could have happened. Now, if this did happen, you probably think to yourself, well, where's all the footprints? Now, to me, I'm not really bothered with the footprints. I'm not really bothered with it whatsoever. We all know what happens when it snows and the next morning the sun comes out and melts it. I mean, personally, I think they were lucky to find one footprint, to be honest. I mean, I've already covered the crime scene with a video. But I may do another one to fit in with these Day of the Murders videos, but I'm not sure yet. It just may depend on how long I want to stay at this crime scene location. Right, so I've come to the end of this particular video today, and there will be another one to follow from this about Darren Nicholls maybe having prior knowledge of the White House Farm track. Essex Boys Murder Case 28 was the first one. This is the second one, and there will be a third instalment. So basically it's like a 3-parter of this part with Darren Nicholls maybe having prior knowledge of this track. Right, so that's it. I'd just like to thank the YouTube subscribers. I hope you've enjoyed the video. and I will try and get the next one up as soon as possible. I'd just like to mention the Facebook group, the Real Essex Boys Murder Club. We have over 20,000 members, and there's new people joining on a daily basis. There's new posts going on a daily basis. I mean, why not have your say on this case on the Facebook group? Last of all, I'd like to thank all the admins who do a fantastic job in keeping the group ticking over. It's much appreciated. And until next time, take care.